fly here, this is called the vitamin C. And this was invented by a fellow named Dean Baines. And Dean Baines is a young fellow. He's not that young anymore. I think he might be in his mid-30s or something. But anyway, he's a young fellow who I met through Don Anderson. Don talks about Dean quite a bit because Dean was a young fellow who just sort of hung around the TU projects and volunteered and did all sorts of things, and then Don started fishing with them. And of all the people Don fishes with, he says that Dean is so good that it's scary. He can see fish in the water. He points out fish to Don and says, "See that fish over there?" He points right at it, and Don doesn't see it. And Don sees a lot more fish than I ever do. So Dean is a really, really good fisherman. Right now he's married. He's got a couple kids. He's living in Red Deer, and he's a pharmacist.
He's got one hell of a bad back.
Yeah, he has a bad back. He came one day to tie the catatonic leech for us. Yes. Way back when we were meeting over in the Lions.
Senior Center.
Yeah, and yeah, he can't sit still. He's got to sit in a special chair, and he's got all sorts of problems with his back. But anyway, he loves fishing, and he was the one who came up with this fly. And I first heard about it, I don't know how many, 12, 15 years ago or something like that, when Don came back from the crow's nest, and he said that they were just slaying him on this fly. They were doing it really well, and you can see from the thing that it's tied in the round, and it falls into my basic, very simple flies with not too many materials, easy to tie. Dawn was slaying them, but her friend Bill Clendon refused to use it. He said, "I am not putting on that orange nothing piece of shit on my line." and as he's very, very stubborn, Bill did not use it, and he didn't catch many fish. So this is a real easy tie. Basically, the materials are floss and some Antron. So I'm going to show you. This is a brand new one that I tied, and
Have you used them, Michael?
yes, indeed, and I've caught lots of fish. Yes, this one has been chewed. Okay, it's been chewed by fish. It's been bouncing on the bottom and all sorts of stuff. And you notice that the Antron has sort of melded into the orange floss, which is sort of all made it all together. So that's a nice sort of thing. So you like that. And I always tie them with a black bead, but I also tie them like this. And Dawn actually ties them more like this. Just basically the same thing without the bead and just a black head on it. So that's how Dawn usually ties them. Now, I think it represents the larval form of the October caddis. The October caddis is sometimes known as the disco midge, or not the disco midge, the disco caddis. Okay, because its Latin name is Dicos something, and it looks like disco. And if you look on anybody's website except for Phil Rowley, who's got it wrong, you'll see that it's not disco, it's Dicos, and then some more Latin after that. But anyway, it's an October caddis. Comes out in the fall. Looks like a stonefly. It's a very large caddis, and it builds a case out of little rocks and things that it finds on the stream bottom. So tiny little rock case, and I think this sort of represents the stage where it's not got into its case yet. So I'm going to use, because it's a largish fly, I'm going to use this 8/0 orange thread. And this is something that I do that not everybody does, but I like to seat my bead. So that just means I make a whole bunch of wraps like this. And I immediately realize that I can't see without my reading glasses, so I'm going to have to put those on. Just snip this off. Okay, so bead, need some more wraps. Okay, so
What benefit is that?
I think what it does is it stops the bead from shifting back and forth on the shank. Okay, what I've had is I've had flies where the bead will actually start pushing the body back, and then it sort of all unravels. So I just put up enough of these wraps on so that the bead fits tight there, and then I just hop over and build up a whole bunch of wraps behind here.
You don't cut it off.
I don't cut it off. Some people whip finish, but why? Why bother? These are flies for catching fish. Okay, so now that I've got that built up there, then I'm going to need some floss. And if I was concerned about making a beautiful fly, in which the floss is nice and smooth and all that, I would be very careful with the floss. But I'm not concerned with that. So I just take a nice long length of floss, and this is about so much. And if it frays or something, that's fine. A little bit of spit to keep it all together, and it's just going to wrap down the body here.
Is that 4 grade or is that 2 grade?
I think it's 4.
Strand.
4 strand, yeah. Okay, so anyway, and then I'm just gonna let that hang, okay? And then I'm just gonna wrap this. And it's going through my fingers, which are all calloused and that, so it's fraying as it's going. And it doesn't really matter, because that just adds to the fly. Okay, so now it's gotten a little bit thick, so I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit. And you see why I took a great long strand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Flatten it out. Okay, so there, I've reached the end, and then just carefully, without making too much of a mess, do a couple half hitches there.
What is that? Yeah.
You could use a little bit of glue right now. Okay. Oh, yes, okay. You know what I forgot? I forgot my wax. Does anybody have any tying wax, Dennis?
I don't, I'm sorry.
Tying wax?
No.
No? No?
That's a new wax.
Okay. So we'll have to come up
I
with this.
have lip balm.
Lip balm will do. Lip balm is wax.
Been used. Lipstick?
Good, thank you. Okay. So I'm just going to spread some of that around. And I know I really should have remembered to bring this. And I'll need that for the second fly as well. Okay, so what I've done is basically I've just put some wax on there. And then I'm going to tie in some Antron. This is the last of my Antron. It's a light gray. It's Antron yarn. And if you had Antron dubbing, you wouldn't have to go through this step, but since I don't, all I do is I just cut this up into about...
Then we need more wax.
Hmm?
After I'm done, we need more wax.
Yeah, maybe. But so anyway, I just cut off a bunch of pieces about 1/4 inch long, and then basically I'm just going to mix them up in my hand so that I'm breaking up the strands. It's just basically making a dubbing. Okay, so now that I've got this, we'll see how sticky Aaron's lip balm is. I'm just going to touch that so that it's, and just little by little add pieces on here.
So you're kind of doing a touch stuff type thing.
It's a touch dubbing thing, yeah, and it's not real sticky, Aaron, unfortunately.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, thanks for... I know exactly where it is, so I'm going to have to help this along just a little bit. And that's actually a little too thick. But it doesn't matter because most of it's going to fall off anyway. A little bit more. Okay, so the idea is to touch dub this so that you get it sticking on there. And in an ideal world, this is a little, just a little too much stuff, but I'll go with this anyway. And then I need my tool to make a loop here. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. So I just make a loop, wrap around there, close it off, make sure it's nice and closed, and advance that back to there. And then what I do is I just basically twist it into a loop so that there's all these little strands sticking out. Okay, and I can just pick off a few that are... And then basically all I do is I just sort of spiral this forward. Oops, that wasn't supposed to happen. And that's why I have my hackle pliers here.
What size hook, Michael?
This is a 3399. It's a wet fly hook, size 6. Tie them from size 6 down to size 12 or so. So the range of sizes there. Just trim off that tag.
Do you ever put any weight on other than the bead?
If you wanted to, you could put some more lead on there.
Have you used tungsten on?
I've not used tungsten on it. That's basically the fly. Okay, this stuff here, I can pick it out a little bit. I can give it a little rub with the Velcro.
Has he done another color? Does he just use the orange?
Uses orange. Now, okay, so Don wouldn't tell me what this fly was. Okay. He just told me that it was a wonderful fly and that it was one of Dean's. So I had to phone Dean up and find out what it was. So Dean described it to me over the phone, and then based on his description, I tied it up. And it turns out that my version is a little bit different from his version, but it's close enough to for my purposes.